Namaskara, my name is Zibi and I've been a volunteer with Whitefield Rising since many years. Today, April 1, is 3 years since we did our first food ration kit drop in Whitefield. It's also 3 years this week since India went to a national lockdown, as many other countries of the world, in response to the coronavirus attack. The most surreal experience, I'm sure, in all of our lives. It is also this week when Whitefield Rising commenced one of the largest operations we have ever done. No one knew what was happening. Things were changing every day, if not hourly. What was, however, clear was that many people, especially day laborers, elderly, informal workers, were going to be massively affected. We started with a fundraiser with the aim of providing 2-week food ration kits for 500 families. Very quickly, we figured out that it was woefully inadequate. From 2-week rations, we upped the quantities to 1-month ration kits, started cooked food delivery, mapped out geographic areas around Mahadevpura with large underserved populations such as Munekolala, Kadugodi, to name a few, where food, rations and water were urgently needed. Developed a tech site based off of Google Maps to identify drop areas, avoid duplication of efforts, and to set up second food drops once the rations ran out. Seeing how farmers were affected, we also added vegetables to the food ration kits. In all, purchasing about more than 10,000 kgs from farmers in Kolar. We touched base with the organizations around the city to coordinate with them, worked extensively with the Karnataka COVID task force and the police to offer aid. In the process, many good people joined hands together and worked every day the best we could. From chasing down gunny bags, yes, initial days in Bangalore we could not find gunny bags to put the food in, to ordering thousands of kgs of atta, spices, dal, sugar, to multiple 40,000 kgs of rice grains orders from the Food Corporation of India. Then came the Great Migration. Across Mahadevpura, we supported the police set up counters at various checkpoints like Vartur and Whitefield Police stations. Organized tickets and transportation to the home state via train, including purchasing about 7,000 tickets for people because they had to at that time. For the critically ill cancer patients who had come to Whitefield for treatment and surgery, and they want to go back home, we actually got flight tickets for them and arranged drop-offs here in Bangalore as well as back in their home state. Kids organized mask and sanitizer kits for people taking the train journey. Many apartments in and around Whitefield had families making rotis to make food hamper kits for the train journeys as well. And sometimes some of these people on the train would call us from different stations across the country saying that they did not have access to food and water, and we would liaise with the local administration in those areas. In all, in year 1, we touched about more than 1 lakh people's lives. Year 2 had a scouting for hospital beds, oxygen tanks and ambulances, working in tandem with the local BBMP administration, Mercy Mission and volunteer citizens from across the city. We quickly set up things and processes, got to speed on gaps in the system, and supported the local administrations with scouting for PPEs, oximeters, oxygen concentrators, and food arrangements for the healthcare workers. The funerals totally broke us. Seeing kids being affected, Whitefield Rising, along with organizations such as Dream India Network, Motherhood and Rainbow Hospitals, and with support from the health department, set up a dedicated hospital for kids affected by COVID. Sometimes they did not have COVID, but all the caregivers were in hospital, so they needed a place to stay. And this was set up in May 2021, the only one in the country as far as we knew. Alongside, we also helped the Whitefield Police Division set up a dedicated building for police personnel to isolate and recover from COVID. Once the oxygen crisis passed, we helped conduct mass vaccination drives across multiple locations in Whitefield. Through it all, Whitefield Rising also actively managed information flow on coronavirus and COVID, given the rampant misinformation that was out there. A resident of Whitefield was the first person in Bangalore to get COVID, if you will remember, in early March 2020, before the lockdowns even began. Through our social media channels and WhatsApp broadcast networks, we regularly updated the residents about the rules and guidelines and worked hard to counter fake news, causing unnecessary panic. What it taught us, and me personally, is that the world is full of good people. And when things become challenging, we will come together and help one another. Because that is how we are. That is who we are. This is how it is. And this is how we live to see another day.